So the first entry in the Fear Street Trilogy on Netflix has just been released. With Fear Street Part 1 1994, there's a lot to unpack surrounding the plot, the ending, the brief post-credit scene, and what we could see in Part 2 and 3. I'm going to be explaining the plot and ending for Fear Street Part 1 in the aim to help you guys gather a greater sense of what's happened and what could be seen in the next two films. This analysis will also contain spoilers, so if you do happen to be someone who hasn't seen the film yet, then I would recommend watching this video after you've seen it. But if you want to keep up to date on any of my future content on upcoming films in numerous genres, then don't forget to support this video by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. Also, feel free to check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram at Cortex Videos, which is all linked in the description below. But without further ado, let's dive into Fear Street Part 1 Explained. So the Fear Street Trilogy on Netflix is off to a bloody start, as a group of teens in 1994 have found themselves the latest target of a centuries-old curse. Dina, played by Kiana Madeira, her on and off girlfriend Sam, played by Olivia Welsh, her brother Josh, played by Benjamin Flores Jr., and two friends Kate and Simon, are faced with a race against time in Fear Street Part 1, leading to a dramatic climax and a huge cliffhanger. This is just the beginning for Fear Street as the second movie, set in 1978, which will be out next Friday. But what do we already know about the curse that's haunted Shadyside, and what can we expect in Fear Street Part 2 1978? Well, I'm about to go into major spoilers for Part 1 to explain just that, and what may be unfolding as the trilogy progresses. The movie opens with the latest massacre to hit Shadyside as a seemingly normal Ryan Torres murders Maya Hawke's Heather at the Shadyside Mall, with the title sequence telling us he killed 7 others after he apparently snapped. It's the latest in a long line of massacres in Shadyside that's included 12 being killed at Camp Nightwing, which will be the focus of Part 2, set in 1978, and even teenage killer Ruby Lane in 1965, and a deviant milkman who killed housewives in 1950. Shadysiders believe the killings are linked to the hanging of Sarah Fear as a witch in 1666, as some supernatural events start to take place with the undead characters that do her deeds for her. The undead characters come back to life in numerous parts of the film, like healing from bullet wounds after bleeding black blood, and reforming body parts after being blown up by an explosion. As the characters put it, Sarah Fear reaches from beyond the grave to make good men her wicked slaves. She'll take your blood, she'll take your head, she'll follow you until you're dead. But the first third of this movie focuses on doing a good job of setting a nostalgic tone, location, and characters which we are going to follow in Part 1. Members of Shadyside clash with the residents of an egregiously more affluent Sunnyvale during a memoriam to the deaths of those at Shadyside Mall. There's a tense fallout between the Shadysiders and those on Sunnyvale, and this all surrounds the two main characters. Sam is Dina's ex-girlfriend and Sunnyvale's newest cheerleader, having left Shadyside behind in the wake of her parents' divorce. And an occasional member of Shadyside's high school band, the outspoken and self-sufficient Dina is the town's truest misfit. Already dealing with the breakup and a grim future laid out by her alcoholic father, it leads to Dina going to the memorial and giving back Sam's things, seeming to move on from their previous time together. But after more clashing between the two groups, in the immediate aftermath, the teenagers find themselves drawn into a series of terrifying events. During a chase on the highway, Dina causes a crash by chucking an object at the car chasing them, which Sam was also in, and this is where things really begin. Dina and her friends find themselves as the latest target of Sarah Fear when Sam gets out of the crashed car and unwittingly bleeds from the nose on the skeleton of her grave. But this time, it's not a person being possessed by fear who's doing the killing, it's the undead versions of past Shadyside killers, including the mall killer, Ryan Torres. Some bonding then forms between our main characters as they begin to try and work out what is actually going on. Along with Dina and Sam, there is Dina's nerdy but tech-savvy and resourceful brother, Josh. Already ahead of his time regarding the internet, he proves a fount of knowledge regarding Shadyside's dark past. With a penchant for quoting cheat codes for courage, we learn that he also harbours a crush on Kate, setting up a potential love triangle to unfold in the film. Head cheerleader and much more besides, Kate is the speechifying and de facto leader of Shadyside High and beyond. Aspirational beyond the restraints of Shadyside and unafraid to make the hard decisions, she proves a fierce ally. And then there's Simon, who is the group's unabashed goofball and Kate's best friend. His larger-than-life traits, however, belies an impressive work ethic and courageous loyalty to his friends and family. But after Dina and Josh go to Kate and Simon, following a stalking by a familiar person in a skull mask, and this person appearing to hunt down certain blood trails, it ultimately leads them back to Sam. Dina goes to Sam thinking that her new boyfriend was the one creeping them out in the mask, but once the skull mask person shockingly kills her boyfriend, they are back on the run. After some well-needed clarifications between Dina and Sam, alongside Josh explaining the history of the Shadyside murders throughout the years, they think that by putting Fear's grave back the way it was before Sam disturbed it, that she would stop sending her henchmen after them. Unfortunately for Sam, Fear's got a taste for her blood and she won't stop. Thinking they can kill the undead, the group head back to the school with the idea of luring the killers into a bathroom with Sam's blood and then setting it on fire. They manage to do just that, but the killers are of course undead, so they start to reassemble themselves, body part by body part. It's Sam that Fear wants, and she chooses to sacrifice herself to save Dina and the others. However, just before they take her, Josh spots that back in the Camp Nightwing massacre in 1978, that there was one survivor called C. Berman. Her heart had stopped, but then she was brought back to life and it seemed to free her of the curse, so they save Sam in the nick of time and hatch a new plan to kill her with a drug overdose and then revive her. This idea stems from Simon, who at the start of the film tells Dina that his friend had been brought back to life after a similar overdose. It seems a bit over the top, but for the tone of this film and the content of the characters and themes at play, it's also rather fitting at the same time. But when we reach the final sequence at the local superstore, Josh, Kate and Simon keep the killers distracted by luring them with Sam's blood, while Dina helps Sam with the overdose. They're interrupted before they finish though, but quick thinking from Dina leads her to drown Sam in a nearby lobster tank. However, Sam doesn't die in time to save Kate from being killed by a bread slicer, and Simon being axed in the head by another one of the undead, but it comes just in time to save Josh, with the undead killers vanishing once Sam has been killed. In a cliche scene, Dina brings Sam back to life using adrenaline pens that Simon had explained using on his friend before, and Dina, Sam and Josh create a story to tell the police, which only leads to Kate and Simon being blamed for their own deaths as just another Shadyside tragedy. But just when we thought it was all over, later that night, Dina receives a call from C. Berman, who didn't previously respond to the call that they gave her before saving Sam, and gives them an ominous warning. In typical Scream fashion, she says, "It's not over, it's never over. You haven't stopped her, you can't, because she makes the rules. The witch will do whatever it takes, you're not safe, she'll find a way and she'll come for you." And that warning leads straight to Dina's once again girlfriend, Sam. We see Sam's name being scratched onto a wall of past killers in what looks like the witch's resting place, and realise that she's stabbed Dina, but not fatally. Dina fights her off and ties up Sam with the phone cable as Josh comes out to see what's happened. In the final moments of Fear Street Part 1, we see Dina promise to get Sam back, and free her from Fier's possession. Now, Dina and Josh must figure out what to do, and based on the small post-credit scene, it looks like C. Berman, the one who called Dina before, could have something to do with it. Kiana Madeira, the actress of Dina, teased that the character is really determined in the rest of the trilogy to do just that, and this is just the beginning of her journey. There is a lot that is going to happen, and the length that Dina goes through to really figure this out and help them is something that's going to be very interesting. We already know that the sequel will show us what happened at Camp Nightwing in 1978 and exactly how C. Berman survived. Leigh Janiak, who directed and co-wrote all of the Fear Street movies, said that we will see the characters in 1994 trying to figure out what they miscalculated that is still making this happen, and we see that story play out. You get to live with C. Berman in the 94 part of the second movie, and one of the appealing things of this trilogy is being able to see generational mistakes and history repeating itself, and how these characters could potentially atone for their past, or what they thought were their sins to atone for, but weren't necessarily. It's going to be intriguing to see what they do in part 2, but based on the words of the actor and director, I'm guessing we'll see a mix of the 1978 story and scenes with the 1994 C. Berman. We got a sense that the post-credit scene is setting that up, with a potentially revealing conversation between the older C. Berman with Dina and Josh, so next week will hopefully give us some great answers that build the anticipation for part 3. But that was my video explaining the plot and ending for Fear Street Part 1, 1994. I thought this first entry in the Fear Street trilogy was a great start, giving us a motley crew and a nostalgic flick with many Stranger Things and Scream comparisons. Similar to how Netflix perfected the 80s in Stranger Things, Fear Street does similar with the 90s, and it will have almost every viewer getting a brief flashback to slasher films of the past. A few moments are slightly too on the nose, but in the end, Fear Street has begun to weave a blood-splattered tapestry that is going to widen as we reach part 2 and 3. Some of the scenarios may be a little bare bones, and the two leading performances can become a bit tiresome, but Fear Street delights in focusing on the 90s nostalgia and Saturday night slasher. Plus, the ending nicely sets up the next installment, which will hopefully be just as fun and narratively interesting. I'm giving Fear Street Part 1 an 8 out of 10. I hope this did help some of you guys understand the events a bit better, and I'm looking forward to hearing what else you picked out, so don't forget to let me know down below in the comment section. I will also be doing a breakdown of Fear Street Part 2 when it releases next Friday, so look out for whenever I post. For more breakdown videos on upcoming films like Fear Street, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.